Have you ever wondered about the roots of the Israel-Palestine conflict? Let's journey back in time to understand this intricate web of history, politics, and emotions. Our story begins in the early 20th century, during a period known as the British Mandate for Palestine. This was a time when the British Empire held sway over this region, following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire after the First World War. The British then made a significant move, issuing what is known as the Balfour Declaration in the year 1917. This declaration stated Britain's support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. It was a promise that ignited the hopes of the Jewish diaspora, but also sparked the fears of the Arab Palestinians, who were the majority population in the region. Fast forward to the year 1948, a year that holds immense significance in the Israel-Palestine narrative. This was the year the State of Israel was created, a momentous event for the Jewish community worldwide, but a catastrophe or Nakba for the Palestinians. The creation of Israel led to a mass displacement of Palestinians, with hundreds of thousands fleeing or being expelled from their homes. This event, known as the 1948 Palestinian Exodus, is a pivotal point in the genesis of the conflict. It marked the beginning of a struggle over land, identity, and sovereignty. The Palestinians who were displaced in 1948 and their descendants, now numbering in the millions, still seek a right to return to their homes, a demand that Israel has consistently rejected. The creation of Israel, while a fulfillment of the Zionist dream, sowed the seeds of a decades-long conflict. It set the stage for a tussle over land and resources and a clash of national narratives, with both sides laying claim to the same piece of earth, a land they both call home. Thus, the creation of Israel laid the foundation for the decades-long conflict that we see today. The conflict between Israel and Palestine has seen numerous escalations and key events. Let's delve into some of these. The Six-Day War in 1967 was a pivotal moment. Israel launched a preemptive strike against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria, which led to the occupation of the Gaza Strip, West Bank, and East Jerusalem. This swift victory expanded Israel's borders, but also increased the number of Palestinians living under Israeli control, fueling further tensions. Next, the Yom Kippur War in 1973 saw Egypt and Syria launch a surprise attack on Israel on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. Israel eventually repelled the attack, but the war shook its sense of security and led to significant changes in its military strategy. Fast forward to the late 20th century, and we have the First and Second Intifadas. These were Palestinian uprisings against Israeli occupation, marked by widespread protests, civil disobedience, and violence. The First Intifada in the late 80s brought the plight of Palestinians to the world's attention, while the Second Intifada in the early 2000s was a much bloodier affair, with suicide bombings becoming a common tactic. In recent years, the conflict has continued to escalate. Tensions have been exacerbated by Israeli settlement building in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, areas that Palestinians consider part of their future state. The situation has been further inflamed by the recent US recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, a move that Palestinians and much of the international community view as undermining the prospects for peace. Each of these events has deepened the divide between Israel and Palestine, shaping the present-day situation. They have led to increased militarization, hardened attitudes on both sides, and made the path to peace increasingly elusive. These key events have shaped and reshaped the conflict, leaving a deep impact on both nations. The consequences of these events continue to reverberate today, influencing not just the Israel-Palestine conflict, but also the wider Middle East and global geopolitics. Jerusalem, a city sacred to three religions, is at the heart of this conflict. Not just bricks and mortar, Jerusalem is a symbol of faith, history, and identity, for both Israelis and Palestinians. Nestled in the hills of the Middle East, this city is revered by Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike, each with their own deep-seated spiritual connections to its ancient stones. For Jews, Jerusalem is the site of their ancient temple, the spiritual epicenter of Judaism. It's a place of pilgrimage, prayer, and profound historical significance. The Western Wall, the last remnant of the Second Temple, is a poignant symbol of Jewish perseverance and resilience. For Palestinians, who are primarily Muslim, Jerusalem is equally sacred. The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, both situated on the Temple Mount, are among the most holy sites in Islam. Jerusalem is not just a religious symbol for Palestinians, but also a symbol of their enduring claim to nationhood. The city's significance to both communities has made its status a major point of contention in peace negotiations. Israel considers Jerusalem its undivided capital, a stance solidified by the relocation of the United States Embassy in 2018. Palestinians, on the other hand, envision East Jerusalem as the capital of their future state. This disagreement is not simply a matter of national pride. It's about who has the right to determine the city's future, who gets to live and pray within its walls, and who can claim its rich history. It's about identity, rights, and sovereignty. Over the years, numerous proposals have sought to resolve the issue of Jerusalem, ranging from international administration to shared sovereignty. Yet none have gained traction, and the city remains a deeply divided and heavily contested space. The status of Jerusalem continues to be a stumbling block in the quest for peace. As this ancient city echoes with the prayers of different faiths, it also reverberates with the sounds of a conflict that has yet to find resolution. Jerusalem stands as a poignant symbol of the challenges, complexities, and deep-seated emotions that permeate the Israel-Palestine conflict. The international community has played a significant role in this ongoing conflict. Over the years, various international actors have attempted to mediate and resolve the Israel-Palestine dispute, albeit with limited success. Starting with the United Nations, it has been a central player since the conflict's inception. The UN adopted the partition plan in 1947, which led to the creation of Israel. However, the UN's ability to enforce its resolutions has often been hampered by the use of veto powers, particularly by the United States, a key ally of Israel. Despite these challenges, the UN continues to provide humanitarian aid to Palestinians and calls for a two-state solution. Turning our attention to the United States, its role has been highly influential, yet contentious. As Israel's staunchest ally, the US has provided significant military and financial aid to Israel. This support has been a point of contention for Palestinians and other Arab nations. The recent US decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, breaking with decades of international consensus, has only added fuel to the fire. This move was widely criticized, with many arguing it undermines the prospect of peace and a two-state solution. Various other international actors have also tried their hand at mediating peace. The European Union, for instance, has consistently advocated for a two-state solution and provided substantial aid to the Palestinians. Russia and China, on the other hand, have taken a more balanced approach, maintaining relationships with both Israel and Palestine. Despite these efforts, the conflict remains unresolved. The international community's involvement has been criticized for being biased, ineffective, and sometimes counterproductive. The challenge lies in finding a solution that respects the rights and aspirations of both Israelis and Palestinians. This is not an easy task, given the complexities of the conflict and the deep-seated historical grievances. The role of the international community in this conflict continues to evolve, with no clear consensus on the way forward. The Israel-Palestine conflict has had far-reaching impacts and consequences. At the heart of this conflict lies an incalculable human cost. Scores of lives have been lost on both sides of this protracted feud, with civilians often caught in the crossfire. The grief and trauma inflicted upon these communities are immeasurable, as families mourn the loss of loved ones and children grow up in the shadow of violence. The war has also wreaked havoc on the infrastructure in the region. Homes, schools, hospitals, and businesses have been reduced to rubble in the wake of relentless airstrikes and rocket attacks. The once bustling streets of Gaza and Jerusalem now bear the scars of war, a stark reminder of the conflict that continues to rage on. The economic implications of this conflict are profound. Trade and investment have been severely hampered as the region's instability deters foreign businesses and investors. The economies of both Israel and Palestine have been crippled, leaving countless citizens grappling with unemployment and poverty. The prosperity of these nations has been sacrificed at the altar of this endless war. Even beyond the borders of Israel and Palestine, the ripple effects of this conflict can be felt. Neighboring countries have been drawn into the fray, their own geopolitical interests intertwined with the fate of this dispute. The regional instability that this conflict fosters has far-reaching implications for the broader Middle East and indeed the global geopolitical landscape. This conflict also perpetuates a vicious cycle of violence and hatred. Each act of aggression fuels resentment, hardening the resolve of both sides and making the path to peace even more elusive. This cycle is self-perpetuating, passed down from generation to generation, with no end in sight. The costs of this ongoing conflict are immense, underscoring the urgent need for a peaceful resolution. The toll it takes on human life, the destruction of infrastructure, the economic fallout, the regional instability, these are the harsh realities of the Israel-Palestine war. The need for peace is not just desirable, it is imperative for the sake of all those who call this region home. In summary, the Israel-Palestine conflict is a complex issue with deep historical roots. It's a tangle of territorial disputes, religious tensions, and political rivalries, all amplified by key events and the contentious role of Jerusalem. The international community's involvement, while vital, has often been fraught with contention. The conflict's impacts are far-reaching, causing human suffering, economic strain, and regional instability. Understanding these complexities is the first step towards fostering dialogue and, ultimately, peace in the region.